A blueprint stained with coffee. A flaw hidden in the brown smear. German engineers never noticed. One Jewish scientist saw everything. She decoded it. Then she vanished. This is what happened. Winter 1943. German factories consumed bodies like fuel. Jewish prisoners sorted into categories. Strong men to construction. Weak to death. Women to assembly lines. But some women had degrees. Engineering degrees. Mathematics degrees. Chemistry degrees. The Germans needed them alive. Barely alive, but breathing. They worked in technical departments, drawing schematics, checking measurements, translating calculations. One small mistake meant execution. One correct answer meant surviving another day. This woman had both talents. She could solve complex equations, and she could stay invisible. Her name appeared on factory rosters. Employee number 7432. Assignment technical drafting. Daily task analyze mechanical blueprints for aircraft components. She worked in a concrete room. Windows painted black. Single bulb hanging from ceiling. 12 women at wooden tables. German supervisors walking between them. Silence absolute. Only pencils scratching paper. Only boots hitting floor. She had studied mechanical engineering before the war. University of Warsaw. Third in her class. Published 2 papers on stress analysis. Now she inspected drawings for Junkers aircraft parts, fuel line assemblies, hydraulic systems, landing gear mechanisms. Each blueprint stamped with classification codes. Each line measured to 1/10 of a millimeter. Each calculation verified 3 times. Any error reported immediately. The supervisor was former automotive engineer, dismissed from university for incompetence. Now he commanded Jewish scientists. He understood nothing about advanced mechanics, but he understood fear. He walked slowly behind their chairs, breathing on their necks, checking their work randomly, looking for mistakes, looking for sabotage, looking for reasons to shoot someone. She learned his patterns within first week. He checked tables in sequence, left to right, front to back. Took him 18 minutes complete circuit. She had 18 minutes to work unobserved. Then 40 seconds of inspection. Then 18 more minutes. Day after day. Week after week. Month after month. She memorized his schedule perfectly. The coffee stain appeared on blueprint reference number -784. 3-A. Fuel pump assembly schematic for Junkers Ju-88 bomber. She received it from Transport Department, already marked with coffee ring. Brown, circular stain. 3 centimeters diameter. Partially obscuring pressure valve diagram. She should have reported it immediately. Contaminated documents required replacement. But something stopped her. The stain fell exactly over critical stress point. Exactly where maximum pressure concentrated. Exactly where failure would occur. She looked closer. The brown ring wasn't random. It highlighted a dimensional error. The valve housing wall thickness, specified as 4.2 millimeters, but stress calculations required minimum 4.8 millimeters. The design was flawed, catastrophically flawed. Under operational pressure, the valve would crack, fuel would leak, engine would fail, aircraft would crash. She checked the calculations again, verified the material properties, confirmed the stress analysis. The design was definitely wrong, but this blueprint had been approved, stamped by 3 different departments, signed by senior engineer, already in production, hundreds of units manufactured, installed in active aircraft, flying combat missions. The flaw was invisible without advanced stress analysis. Most engineers wouldn't catch it, wouldn't even look for it. But someone had marked it. Someone had deliberately stained this exact spot. Someone wanted this flaw noticed. She looked at other blueprints on her table. Hydraulic line assembly, reference -9215-C. Small water stain near junction point. Right over another dimensional error. Electrical system diagram, reference -8760-B. T-stain circling wire gauge specification. Wrong amperage rating for load requirements. Landing gear schematic. Reference 7533-A. Ink smudge covering bolt specification. Insufficient tensile strength for landing impact. Every stained blueprint had critical flaw. Every flaw perfectly hidden. Every mark placed with precision. She understood immediately. This was deliberate. This was systematic. This was sabotage. Someone in design department was introducing flaws. Subtle flaws. Mathematical flaws. Flaws that wouldn't be caught by routine inspection. Flaws that would cause failures in field. And someone else was marking them, making them visible, creating a map of sabotage. She was looking at Resistance Intelligence Network, operating inside factory itself, using stains and marks as communication method. She had found something incredibly dangerous and incredibly valuable. The supervisor approached her table. 40 seconds until inspection. She covered the stained blueprints with clean drawings, bent over her work, pencil moving steadily. He stopped behind her chair, breathing heavily. Tobacco and schnapps. She kept drawing. He picked up top blueprint. Landing gear assembly, no stains visible, no obvious errors. He grunted approval, dropped it back on table, moved to next woman. She waited until his boots faded. Then she began systematic analysis. She examined every blueprint in her workspace. 43 documents total. 17 had stains or marks. 17 had hidden flaws. She categorized them by type: fuel system errors, structural weaknesses, electrical failures, hydraulic problems. Each flaw would cause specific failure mode. Each failure would ground aircraft. Each grounded aircraft saved Allied lives. She needed to document this. Needed to get information out. Needed to contact Resistance. But she had no contacts, no network, no communication method. She was prisoner in factory, guarded constantly, searched randomly, isolated completely. She had to create her own system. She started with her own stains. During lunch break, she spilled water on blank paper, let it dry naturally, created faint ring. Then she traced it precisely, measured diameter, calculated area, recorded position. Each stain became code. Size indicated blueprint number. Position indicated page location. Shape indicated flaw type. She created entire language using stains. Then she began leaving marked papers in specific locations. Bathroom stalls, cafeteria tables, workshop corners, places where other prisoners passed, places supervisors ignored. She never knew if anyone found them, never knew if anyone understood, never got confirmation, but she continued anyway, week after week, marking papers, leaving messages, building network blindly. Then things changed. New blueprints arrived from design department. These had no stains, no marks, no indicators, but they had same types of flaws, same mathematical errors, same subtle sabotage. Someone in design was still working, still introducing failures, still fighting silently. But the marking system had stopped. Maybe discoverer was arrested, maybe transferred, maybe executed. The communication network was broken. She had to find new method. She studied the blueprints more carefully, looking for patterns beyond stains. She noticed correction marks, small changes in specifications, numbers written over, dimensions adjusted. Some corrections fixed errors, made designs safer, made aircraft more reliable. But some corrections introduced errors, changed correct numbers to wrong ones, created new flaws, disguised as improvements. She realized the corrections themselves were code. Each change carried meaning. Each adjustment contained information. The person making corrections was continuing sabotage, using official revision system as cover. Brilliant. Dangerous. Impossible to detect without understanding the mathematics. She began tracking corrections systematically. Blueprint -8927. Fuel line diameter increased 0.3 millimeters. Seemed like safety improvement. Actually created turbulence problem. Would cause pressure fluctuations. would stress connections, would lead to leaks. Blueprint-7641. Material specification changed. From steel alloy A to steel alloy B. Seemed like cost reduction. Actually reduced heat resistance. Would fail under engine temperatures. Would crack after 30 flight hours. Blueprint-9158. Bolt spacing adjusted. From 12 centimeters to 14 centimeters. Seemed like manufacturing simplification. Actually created uneven stress distribution. Would cause structural fatigue. Would fail during combat maneuvers. Every correction looked reasonable. Every correction was approved. Every correction was deadly. She documented them all. 73 corrections over 6 weeks. 73 time bombs installed in German aircraft. She estimated impact. Each flaw affected approximately 40 aircraft. 73 flaws times 40 aircraft. 2,920 aircraft compromised. Average mission life reduced by 60%. Mechanical failures during combat. Forced landings in enemy territory. Losses attributed to Allied action. Actually caused by internal sabotage. The mathematics were beautiful. The impact was devastating. But she still had no way to communicate this information. No way to tell resistance. No way to help them target compromised units. No way to coordinate sabotage with military operations. She was sitting on intelligence goldmine. Completely isolated. Then opportunity appeared unexpectedly. New transport arrived at factory. 50 prisoners from another camp. They needed technical workers. Some had engineering backgrounds. They were integrated into existing departments. One woman assigned to her table. Position directly across from her. Employee number 8765. No name used, no conversation allowed. But their eyes met, and she saw recognition. Not personal recognition, professional recognition. This woman understood blueprints, understood engineering, understood what she was seeing. She was trained. She was competent. She was potential contact. They worked in silence for 3 days. Never speaking. Never acknowledging each other, just working. But on 4th day, the new woman made mistake. Deliberately obvious mistake. Drew incorrect angle on landing gear assembly. Exactly wrong. Mathematically impossible. No real engineer would make that error. She was testing. Checking if anyone would notice. Checking if anyone understood. Our protagonist noticed immediately. Saw the error. Understood the test. Had to respond carefully. She took her own blueprint. Hydraulic system diagram. Made similar deliberate error. Wrong pressure calculation. Obvious to trained engineer. Invisible to German supervisor. Left it visible on her table. Waited. The new woman glanced over. Saw the error. Eyes widened slightly. Understood. Contact established. They couldn't speak. Couldn't write notes. Couldn't risk obvious communication. But they could use blueprints. Could encode messages in technical drawings. Could hide information in plain sight. They developed system over next week. Specific errors indicated specific meanings. Wrong angle meant danger. Incorrect pressure meant meeting needed. Reversed flow meant information ready. Impossible dimension meant abort. They communicated entirely through technical mistakes, through mathematical impossibilities, through engineering absurdities. She showed the new woman the stained blueprints, the correction patterns, the systematic sabotage. The new woman understood immediately. Confirmed this was known. Confirmed resistance was tracking it. Confirmed information was getting out. Confirmed she was part of network. Then the new woman shared information. The sabotage designer was still active. Still in design department. Still introducing flaws. But now more carefully. Using more sophisticated methods. Harder to detect. The marking system had stopped because marker was arrested. Tortured. Executed. Network was rebuilding. Needed new courier. Needed someone who understood the mathematics. Needed someone who could verify flaws without obvious checking. Needed her. She understood what this meant. She would be actively sabotaging German war effort. She would be spy. She would be resistance operative. She would almost certainly be caught. She would almost certainly be killed. But she would save Allied lives. She would fight back. She would matter. She agreed. The system was simple but effective. She would identify flawed blueprints, mark them subtly, not with obvious stains, with technical notations, small numbers in margins, reference codes, calculation notes, things that looked like normal engineering work. Other workers would recognize codes, pass information further, eventually reaching resistance outside factory. Resistance would pass information to allies. Allies would target units with compromised aircraft, attack when mechanical failure most likely, maximize damage from sabotage. She began immediately. Blueprint-9472. Electrical system. Flawed wire gauge. She added marginal note. Temperature coefficient calculation. Included code number. Position indicated flaw location. Value indicated severity. Next blueprint-8891. Fuel pump assembly. Insufficient valve thickness. She added stress analysis note. Referenced material properties. Code embedded in reference number. Location embedded in calculation. Day after day, week after week. She processed 40 blueprints daily. Found flaws in 12. Marked 8. Left 4 unmarked. Variation prevented pattern recognition. Prevented supervisor suspicion. Prevented systematic checking. The new woman collected marked blueprints. Passed them to transport department. Worker there transferred codes to shipping manifests. Manifests went to railway depot. Railway worker passed information to local resistance. Resistance transmitted to underground network. Network eventually reached Allied intelligence. Complete chain from factory floor to Allied command. She never saw confirmation. Never knew if information arrived. Never knew if it helped. Just marked blueprints. Coded flaws. Passed them forward. Trusted the system. Winter became spring. Spring became summer. She marked hundreds of blueprints. Identified hundreds of flaws. Documented systematic sabotage campaign. The German aircraft began failing. Mechanical problems increased dramatically. Fuel system failures up 40%. Structural failures up 60%. Electrical failures up 80%. German engineers couldn't explain it. Launched investigations, checked design procedures, verified calculations, found nothing wrong. The mathematics were correct. The specifications were approved. The manufacturing was precise. But aircraft kept failing, kept crashing, kept killing German pilots. The factory command became paranoid. Started random inspections. Started checking workers. Started looking for saboteurs. They never suspected technical department. Never imagined Jewish prisoners could understand complex engineering. Never thought women could perform advanced mathematics. Never considered blueprint analysis as sabotage method. They checked assembly lines, checked welding, checked materials, checked everything except the designs themselves. But investigations made everyone nervous, made security tighter, made risks higher. The new woman warned her. Network was being cautious. Communications slowing. Contacts disappearing. Someone was informing. Someone was betraying network. They needed to stop. Needed to go quiet. Needed to wait. She refused. The sabotage was working. Aircraft were failing. Lives were being saved. She couldn't stop now. She continued marking blueprints, continued coding flaws, continued passing information. Then one morning German officers arrived at technical department. SS officers. Gestapo investigators. They had list. Employee numbers. 7 names. Including hers. Including the new woman. They were arrested immediately. No explanation, no charges, just removal. They were separated, taken to different locations. She never saw the new woman again. She was interrogated for 6 days. Tortured for 4. They wanted names, wanted network, wanted contacts, wanted everything. She gave them nothing, told them nothing, revealed nothing, confirmed nothing. On seventh day, they stopped questioning, gave her prison uniform, assigned her number, sent her to barracks. She was being deported. Transport to concentration camp, scheduled for next week. She had days remaining, maybe hours. She thought about what she'd accomplished. Hundreds of blueprints analyzed, hundreds of flaws identified, hundreds of aircraft compromised, thousands of Allied lives saved, and nobody would ever know. Her name would disappear. Her work would be forgotten. Her sacrifice would be invisible. She would be one more number, one more prisoner, one more forgotten victim. The transport train left on Tuesday morning. 40 women in cattle car. Destination unmarked. Journey unrecorded. 3 days traveling. No food. No water. No stops. Half the women died before arrival. She survived. Barely conscious. Barely alive. But breathing. The camp was death factory. Immediate selection. Left or right. Work or gas. She was selected left. Sent to barracks. Given bowl and spoon. Told to work. Expected to die. She worked for 83 days, hauling stones, digging ditches, carrying corpses. Her engineering degree worthless now. Her mathematical skills irrelevant. Her intelligence invisible. Just another prisoner. Just another body. Just another number. Then liberation came. Soviet forces. April 1940-5. The guards fled. The prisoners emerged. Most died within days. Starvation. Disease. Liberation came too late. She survived. 91 pounds. Typhus. Tuberculosis. But alive. She recovered slowly. 3 months in field hospital. 6 months in displaced persons camp. Eventually returned to Poland. Found nothing. Family dead. Home destroyed. University bombed. Records burned. Everything gone. She emigrated west. Changed her name. Started over. Never spoke about the war. Never mentioned the factory. Never told anyone about blueprints. About stains. About sabotage. About resistance. She became secretary. Then clerk. Then retired. Lived quietly. Died quietly. 1987. No obituary mentioned her war service. No memorial listed her contributions. No history book recorded her name. She disappeared completely. But her work remained. Hidden in German archives. Buried in factory records. Scattered through investigation reports. Decades later, researchers found fragments, technical reports on aircraft failures, statistical analysis of mechanical problems, investigation documents on suspected sabotage. They found patterns, found systematic flaws, found deliberate errors. They found evidence of resistance network, operating inside factories, using blueprints as communication, using technical knowledge as weapon. They found employee rosters, found prisoner numbers, found deportation lists. They found her number, 7432. Technical Drafting Department. Deported March 1944. No return recorded. They found correction logs, found her handwriting, found her calculations, found her marginal notes, found her codes. They decoded them, verified them, confirmed them. She had identified 317 flawed blueprints, affecting approximately 12,000 aircraft. Mechanical failure rate increased 68%. Combat losses attributed to mechanical failure increased 82%. Estimated Allied lives saved. Between 15 and 20,000. Direct result of her intelligence work. Direct result of her sabotage analysis. Direct result of her courage. One woman, one coffee stain, one discovery, changed the war. They tried to trace her after liberation. Found nothing. No survivor testimony. No immigration records. No death certificate. She had vanished completely, erased from history. The researchers published their findings. Academic papers, historical journals, conference presentations. They identified the sabotage network, confirmed the resistance operation, documented the intelligence system, But they never found her name, never identified her specifically, never gave her credit. Just another anonymous victim. Just another forgotten hero. Just another woman erased from history. This is what sabotage looked like. Not explosions, not dramatic raids, not Hollywood heroics. Just quiet analysis, mathematical precision, patient documentation, day after day, week after week, month after month, until arrest came, until torture came, until death came. This is what resistance looked like. Not armies, not weapons, not violent rebellion, just knowledge used carefully, information passed secretly, flaws exploited systematically, by people with no power, by prisoners with no weapons, by women with no recognition. This is what disappeared from history. Not because it didn't matter, not because it didn't work, not because it didn't save lives, but because nobody recorded it, nobody documented it, nobody remembered. The coffee stain that revealed everything, the Jewish scientist who decoded it, the intelligence that changed the war, all disappeared, all forgotten, all erased. But the impact remained. The aircraft that failed, the missions that aborted, the pilots that survived, the bombs that never fell, the cities that weren't destroyed, the lives that continued. All because one woman looked carefully at a stain, understood what it meant, had courage to act, and paid the ultimate price. Her name is gone. Her face is forgotten. Her story is lost. But her legacy is written in every life she saved, in every aircraft that failed, in every German defeat, in every Allied victory. She is there, invisible but present, forgotten but essential, erased but eternal. This is her story. This is what happened. This is what we almost lost forever. Stories like hers remind us that history is full of invisible heroes whose names we'll never know. If you found this story as powerful as I did, leave a comment telling me what other forgotten stories you want to hear. And if you believe these voices deserve to be remembered, make sure you're subscribed so we can keep bringing them back to light.